same type of thing where it's like, well, where can I spot like the diamond in the rough?
So this is the first episode of Founders Pack podcast. I don't know if that's what we're going to end up calling it, but I figured we'd start it off with a bang with a guy that I have a lot of respect for, longtime subscriber to Trends. I think it's 3 years long.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. It's about 3 years old, maybe.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. So first of all, this is Sam Parr. So for people that don't know, who is Sam Parr?
Most people know me because I started this thing called The Hustle. It's a daily email. It goes out to over 2 million people. It's like business news email. I sold it though to HubSpot for tens of millions of dollars about a year and a half ago. And I host a popular podcast called My First Million,
which I also love. And I just finished listening to an episode. So first, thanks for joining me for this. The idea behind Founders Pack is that we talk to investors and founders that are starting scalable ventures. So I think you've already shown that you've done that. So maybe I can start with, you've started companies and scaled them. What was like the real key to you scaling a new venture?
Learning how to delegate. And then eventually learning how to hire a CEO to replace myself. So I'm really good at starting stuff. Getting to like $1 million in revenue, I can do that in my sleep for like loads of different industries. I'm very good at that. Getting it to 5 million, I'm decent at it. And then anything after 10, it's like, oh man, like to go from 10 to 100, you kind of do mostly the same stuff, but better and more. And that's a little bit where my skill set breaks down. And so I learned how to hire a CEO and I learned how to delegate effectively. I got really good at that. I also got really good at hiring. And it's like stock picking in a way. Like I'm trying to find stocks that no one knows about and I buy into them and I invest in them, and eventually their value goes way up and I get rewarded for that. And so I got really good at hiring.
So you look at the people that you bring in as those types of assets and you're trying to pick them like stocks, you're saying?
I mean, they're obviously more than that. It's you create a relationship, but it's like,
sure.
It's like the same type of thing where it's like, well, where can I spot like the diamond in the rough? Like who out there is currently way undervalued? And if I just give them a ton of responsibility, they're going to prove that they're undervalued. Yeah. So, and I want to invest in them. So like I give them opportunities. I hope we give them education and we give them freedom. And most people aren't used to that. And the winners win with that.
I love it. That's a great idea. That makes a lot of sense. All right. So now you're shifting a little bit and you've been investing in startups, right?
Yeah. I've probably invested in 70 startups.
That's it. Geez. That's a lot of startups.
Yeah, a fair amount.
Okay, I think most venture firms, like when they start, like small ones are like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not writing millions and millions of dollars, so I definitely kind of do the spray and pray a little bit.
Okay, so what is your thesis like when you're investing?
Right now, I'm kind of pausing. Basically, I invested in a bunch of startups over the past few years, and this valuations are crazy lately. So I just am chilling and sitting for a minute. But I like enterprise software a lot. I like boring stuff. I don't like products where like they only charge like $50 a month or something, because it's really hard to build a really big business when you don't charge a lot of money. So you either have to charge a lot of money and get like small amount of customers, or you have to be like TikTok and Facebook and make only a couple $100, but have like billions of people. And I think that billions of people way is much harder. And so I usually really look for businesses that like have higher price point. I like that a lot. I'm really interested in health and particularly at-home diagnostics. So I'm a big investor in that space.
Oh, that's interesting. All right, so that's a good segue, so what are the segments that you're interested in? It sounds like health and wellness. Is that an exciting area for you right now?
Yeah, like I'm an angel investor in this company called Levels. Have you heard of Levels?
That sounds familiar, but I don't know what.
It's like that thing that puts like a glucose monitor on the back of your arm. And that's going to be one of my bigger wins ever, probably. And that and like this thing called a whoop. That's like kind of a small version, but
Yep.
yeah, but I think that like whoop told me I had COVID before a COVID test told me I had COVID.
Really?
It doesn't say you've got COVID, but it says like, 2 out of your 3 markers are so out of whack that you should consider getting tested for COVID.
No way. Wow. That is
Yeah, like
crazy.
it tells you. And so
Okay.
like that's not the biggest example, but that's still a meaningful example of like at-home diagnostic testing. And so I actually like quarantined and then like did an at-home kit test, and I in fact was positive. So like little things like that are really interesting to me, where you can just test your body, because in my mind it's kind of crazy that you can have an illness that eventually kills you, but had you known you had it a little bit earlier, you would have been saved. And I think that that's just like a crazy problem that I like investing in and trying to solve for, because
Very
I think,
specific.
well, yeah, it's just like weird to me. It's like, dude, you had cancer, and had you just walked into this one building and got an MRI like 3 years ago, you would have been fine. But now you're not fine. And it's kind of crazy that just like making that appointment was literally life or death.
Oh, that's really interesting. So is there any other segments that you think are going to be really big that maybe you're just starting? Because I know part of what you've been successful as with trends, and you're finding stuff early. So what do you think is going to be a big segment, or a couple big segments in the next 2 or 3 years, or maybe 5 years? Maybe the horizon needs to be longer.
Something that I've always been interested in is buying and selling items online that aren't sold online now. So like, for example, I was trying to find a good company to invest in where you could buy and sell houses online. And I found one, it's called Dorsey. So Door, like door, and then Sye. And do you like cars? Are you a car fan?
Yeah, we have a few cars.
There's this company called Bring a Trailer. Have you heard of Bring a Trailer?
No.
It's like a car auction website for really sick, cool, collectible cars.
Oh, okay.
Well, this company is doing that, but for homes. So you can just like go online and see a cool house and bid on it online. So it's like if Zillow had live buying.
Okay, that's really interesting, because like you, I'm pretty involved on the side in real estate, but you're pretty active in it. But so that it's Dorsey, I'll have to check that out, or Dorsey.
Yeah, I think that potentially can be a massive company if they pull it off effectively. What else? I really like, so right now I live in Austin and New York, so I split time. And I own in Austin and I rent New York, and finding long-term places to live has been hard. And I'm noticing a bunch of companies pop up where they're not Airbnbs, but they're like places that is just for like 3 to 6 months to rent a place. One is called one was started by this guy named Bill Smith, who started this company that he sold for a lot of money called Shipped. And there's like 3 or 4 of them. And I think there's maybe a world where people do that, like not just rich people, but normal like yuppies live part-time in different cities. And I'm really interested in seeing companies that make that easier. Airbnb doesn't make it easy right now. And so I'm very eager to see what else will be out there that will solve that problem. I think that's going to,
Airbnb has been a pain in my neck the last couple of months. So it's interesting you say that, and they've changed it. I don't know if you've seen Airbnb, where they've gone to this experience model. And I think,
yeah, my wife works there.
Oh, she does. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, geez, maybe she can help me out, because I'm confused. It's like
It's
it just changed, and I don't know if it's just the market or it's the site. And it seemed to coincide with when they made that update. So I'm thinking, what you're saying is like, how would you do a Web3 Airbnb, where it's like almost like a DAO or an NFT scenario, and you could just live in one of these houses?
Yeah, I'm very eager to see what happens. So I invested in this company called Wander, Wander, and I think they're trying to solve this problem. And so I'm very eager to see what happens in the next 5 years with that. And I'm really interested in online communities. Now that people are working remotely, it's quite lonely. And so I think there's going to be lots and lots and lots of niche online communities that are created.
That makes total sense. We've seen that with kind of DSO, giving like building blocks of it, but someone's got to do something with that, right? So it's kind of interesting, where you have like these decentralized, maybe social networks.
Yeah, I'm eager to, I think there's just going to be a bunch of like niche paid communities maybe there's like and I what's going to happen likely is someone's going to roll them all up and like buy all of them.
Yeah, and I don't know if have you seen DSO, by the way? It's like it's.
Is that big? Is the BigClutch? Is that the thing behind BigClutch?
It might be. It's almost like if you let's say you used it with Trends, you would integrate their messaging, and it would have the ability, though, you could message from Trends to other communities that you enable. And I think they've also got a wallet aspect to it. So the idea is eventually it could become commerce. So it's not that it's a social network. It's almost like some underpinning that social networks could use to be decentralized. Right. But then anyways, that was kind of interesting to me. And actually one of the companies that I invested in, which is Entra, they, I think, have adopted some of that tech, and they might have actually got some DSO coin.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
I'm shockingly not knowledgeable of crypto, so I'm always a noob when people talk about it.
It's a little weird. And I was talking to someone about this today. I think it's like the hobbyists have control of it right now, and there's got to be like a product Steve Jobs type guy that builds the app store of it or the iPhone of it or
right
product that makes this is useful. And I think it's smart contracts. Like, why am I still using DocuSign and paper? I want a smart contract platform.
I'm very eager to see if that happens.
I'm thinking I might figure out a way to build it. So we'll stay in touch on that.
That'd be badass.
I want to be conscious of your time. Let's see. I'm going to wrap up with a couple quick things. If you can only give one piece of advice to a founder that wants to start a scalable venture, what would that be?
Rush as fast as possible to get your first dollar in, and don't worry. Like, I like to tell people, worry about, like, think about your vision constantly, which is like step number 10. And then if you're on step 0, only worry about step number 1, and don't let steps 2 to 9 like hold you back. Like, don't be like, well, but how are we going to even like do this legally? It's like, dude, you don't even know if people want this thing. Like, just try and get a couple dollars in the door and figure out what happens next. So like, rush to get your first dollar and then just only think about the next step. That's it.
I love it. That makes sense. That's actually consistent with our methodology, which is just like, okay, go sell it before you make it. Don't go crazy on making it. Rapid prototype and go prove this thing will actually sell eventually. I like that.
I think that's important.
That's awesome. All right, two final things. What was the role of alliances, friendships, or allies in you being successful in any of your ventures?
Oh, I mean, I just like cold emailed people like crazy and just asked them how they did what they did. So I basically looked up all of like the people who accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, and I befriended them, and they just told me, yeah, like all of them. So it was very important. A lot of them are my closest friends, so hugely important.
That's amazing. I love that. Well, I want to thank you for jumping on this and being so flexible, because I think this is going to be a great first quick episode of what's eventually going to be the Founders Pack podcast. So thank you for that. I'll wrap with one final thing, which is, on my previous podcast, I'd always like the guest to nominate another guest. So on this, we like to talk to either investors or founders of scalable ventures. So who would you like to nominate to be a future guest of the Founders Pack podcast?
Who would I want to learn from?
Yeah. And then you can introduce us to.
Well, I want to learn from someone who I don't know.
Okay.
This guy named Kevin Ryan.
Ryan. Okay.
He started Business Insider. And what else did he start? He started Business Insider and Gilt Group and MongoDB.
Okay. And MongoDB. What?
Yeah. He's like
3 very different things.
And they're all massive.
Wow. Okay. So Kevin Ryan, you don't know Kevin though, right?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to reach out and say you were nominated by Sam Parr. You probably don't know him, but we'd like to invite you. So I think that's
he might know who I am. Maybe.
Okay. That's even better. That's better than anything. All right. Is there anything we didn't touch on that you think we should touch on?
No.
All right, Sam Parr, thank you so much for doing this. I hope to see you soon. I want to actually invite you in the future, if you're interested. We'd love to have you as a judge on one of our future pitch events. We do winner takes all pitch events. And what it is, it's 5 startups. They each put in $100 and the winner takes the pot. So you're basically betting on yourself. So if you're interested, I'd love to invite you to one of the future events to be a judge.
Send me an email. I'm down.
I will do that. This has been the first episode ever of the SPAC podcast. Hopefully I can say that better in the future. And we've been on with Sam Parr. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I'll talk to you all soon.